Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome and thank you for your interest in the city's notice of funding availability for the acquisition, rehabilitation, or new development of affordable housing in San Rafael. A recording of today's webinar and an FAQ document will be posted on the 2021 NOFA webpage, which we'll put in the text chat. Or you know what, we don't have a text chat today, but we'll be sure to get you those links. I'm Alexis Kaptanian, the Housing Programs Analyst at the City of San Rafael, and I'm co-facilitating today with Jacob Noonan, who's the Housing Programs Manager. And we are also working closely with San Rafael's Community Development Director, Ali Giudice. So today we will do an quick overview of the Notice of Funding Availability, including the selection criteria, application requirements, and we'll look a little bit more closely at the project budget, and then we'll have an opportunity for Q&A. So the NOFA was released on November 12th, and of course, we're doing the informational webinar today. Responses are due on the 23rd of December by 5 p.m. Pacific time, and we will do evaluation of the responses that come in the first couple weeks of January. We're looking at doing developer team interviews in mid-January, the 17th to the 21st. And then we're aiming to notify applicants of pending awards in late January and have awards approved by the City Council in February, though this timeframe is tentative. So successful responses will meet the affordable housing goals that are provided in the County of Marin's consolidated plan and also the City of San Rafael's housing element, both of which are available online, and we've linked to them in the NOFA announcement. And we're including both of these goals to assure that responses awarded are competitive for the city's share of CDBG and home funds that are administered by the county. In addition to the goals provided in the consolidated plan and the housing element, we're also looking for responses that meet the guidelines in San Rafael City Council Resolution 14760, which is the guidelines for the administration of the Affordable Housing Trust Fund. So in terms of selection criteria, we'll go through some different parts of the criteria. And if you have questions about what might meet these criteria, we encourage you to get in touch with us. We're happy to discuss further based on your specific scenarios or circumstances. So eligible projects are acquisition and rehabilitation, including the conversion of market rate housing or adaptive reuse of buildings to affordable housing, and then also new construction of affordable housing, including residential portions of mixed use and live work projects that meet the affordability requirements of the Affordable Housing Trust Fund guidelines. Eligible applicants are nonprofit, 501c3 nonprofit organizations, for-profit developers of affordable housing, and for-profit developers who are experienced in residential development and also partner with a 501c3 nonprofit. And developer teams should have at least one member who has completed one or more affordable housing projects within the City of San Rafael or a comparative locality. Eligible activities under this NOFA include land or property acquisition, pre-development, such as architecture, environmental or financial analysis, construction, including site preparation and materials, conversion of market rate housing or non-residential buildings to deed restricted affordable housing, or any other activity that CDD determines helps address program goals and priorities of increasing affordable housing, and guided by ordinances and resolutions that have been established by the City Council. So in order to be considered for funding, projects must meet all of the requirements in the guidelines, demonstrate site control or the ability to achieve site control, maximize the number of affordable units created, couple reasonable per unit city subsidies with some other funding sources, and contribute to the city's goals for new housing development and regional housing needs and allocation, or RHNA. And then some additional funding considerations are the project's readiness. So building permits, maybe awarded state and federal funding. Also, whether the project's located within a quarter mile of transit, whether it provides units for larger families, serves very low and or extremely low income households, and or includes 20% or more permanent supportive housing. So now I'm going to hand it off to Jake, who's going to discuss more about the application requirements.
Thank you so much. And great. So we do have a couple of slides. Alexis, is there more slides than this?
There are a couple more, maybe like 4 more.
Okay. So we'll go through those slides, and then I was going to share my screen and we'll jump onto the website and go through the actual documents that we have linked there on the website itself. So the application requirements, of course, are located on our website. And given that you are here joining us today for this webinar, you have successfully found where those documents are located. But the link is here on the screen. And you would submit the responses by email to housing@cityofsanrafael.org by Thursday, December 23rd, 2021 at 5 p.m. Now in the NOFA, it does say that you can submit to me at my address, jacob.noonan@cityofsanrafael.org. And so you can certainly submit to either. We would prefer the housing website or the housing email box, but feel free. If you need to submit to me directly, you can do that. We're requiring that all documents be in a PDF format, and you are welcome to upload your documents into a Dropbox and then email us a link. I believe that we are asking you to send me or Alexis a note in advance, so you can certainly email in advance to housing@cityofsanrafael.org or to us personally, letting us know that you are submitting. I would recommend doing that if you're working up to the end and it's Thursday in the afternoon, to definitely give us a heads up that you are going to submit. Of course, your email will be time-stamped, and so everything that we receive before 5 p.m. will be considered. Go ahead to the next slide. So in the application requirements, we do have an application packet that includes, we're requiring a cover letter, requesting a cover letter, a project summary, that we have a disclosure form. This is a form that you and every entity in the developer team would fill out independently and have signed and submit with the packet. We are asking you to provide the project timeline and a project budget. We have recently developed a template budget that you are welcome to use. It is in beta form. And if you would like to use our template budget, we do have a link. We have the document on our website. However, I would suggest that you send me an email and I could send you the budget template itself, because it does include macros. Our website doesn't allow a document with macros on it. And so the full functionality isn't there, but I'm happy to share the document with you in an email for you to use that document if you'd like. In addition to everything that I've listed so far, please provide us with any other information that you feel would be helpful to the selection team to understand and evaluate the development proposal, such as client references from past development projects, for instance. Next slide. So as I mentioned, we are asking for a preliminary budget and finance plan, including your sources and uses, and that will be included in the application packet. A schedule for the project with all major milestones, the management plan and operating budget for at least 20 years. So we would like you to provide your first year budget and a 20-year operating budget, and then agreements between any of the development partners. This is any sort of a joint powers agreement or any other memorandum of understanding that you've entered into if you are working with development partners, and then a signed resolution or other form of authority indicating in that case that you have the ability to submit the application and to request the funding. Do we have another slide? Great. Okay, so that being said, we're back to the first slide that we shared, the application requirements with the website address. I'm going to now start sharing my screen, and we'll walk through that application itself. Okay. So let's start out with the website. So this is our landing page. This is our housing web page, and funding opportunities is the fifth down. So here you will find our NOFAs. Our 2020, of course, is closed. This is the 2021 NOFA. On this page, you will we have listed most of the information out of the NOFA, but there is a link to the NOFA right here that provides you with all of the information that we're covering today. We do have the application here, which is form fillable. We have the disclosure statement as well. And then I mentioned we do have the template budget. However, if you wanted to use that, please give me a call and or send me an email, and I'll be happy to send it to you. So let's go through the application first. I think that it's a fairly simple application. We have some instructions on the first page, and then we do have as much of this as form fillable as possible, asking for general site information, what is the nature of the project, and then covering any additional information. There we go. Scroll down a little too quick. This application is really just intended to give us a snapshot of the project, and so that we can assess and understand and get to know it. Of course, we're asking you to provide additional information and attachments that will help embellish and give us the full picture and a good understanding of the request. The disclosures form, this goes through, there's standard disclosures for you. If you need to add additional information under any of the responses, please feel free to just add an additional page and attach that to the disclosure. And then, of course, have this signed, please. So the last item, our budget. Let me stop sharing, and I will share my screen again as the Excel spreadsheet. This is intended to give us a fairly comprehensive picture of your project. We do have the first page is the instructions on how to use the budget and to fill this out. Following that, we do ask you for general project information. This is very similar to the information that you provided in the packet. It's a little more in detail. As you fill in and populate this information, it does populate through the other spreadsheets in the application. So general project information on utilities and other income at the project site. If you're building a new project, new construction, there's information on those rents that you anticipate, the level of rent, and number of units at each AMI level. For existing projects, we've provided this as that you can populate the rent roll and indicate, if it's a restricted unit or not, if it's a manager's unit. There's drop-down boxes here for you to indicate that. If you are filing an existing project, we also have provided you with a sample CNA, capital needs assessment form that you can use. I'm happy to provide a clean copy of this. In the application itself, we've provided an example of what that could look like. Following the CNA and the rent information, we have a tab for pre-development sources and uses. We would ask you to file, place all the dollars for the city of San Rafael that you're requesting in the first column, and then populate out the rest of the sheet with other sources in the project. This is for the pre-development part of the budget, and then the next tab 4B is for the permanent sources of uses in the project. If your project is commercial, has a mixed use component, we also have provided you with a sources and uses tab for that commercial component in the project. If you are requesting funds that would relate or be associated with the commercial component. We then have the commercial operating budget. And then following that, we have the first year budget, 6.1, 6 point is our first year operating budget. If you fill out the operating budget, that will go ahead and populate some of the information into the 20-year detailed budget. You will have to go through here. You may have to fill in a little bit of additional information. And then lastly, this all feeds into the 20-year budget summary that we can then use to evaluate the affordability of the project over time. So that being said, I will stop sharing my screen at this point. That concludes our presentation. I'd like to now open it up to any questions that the groups have had to date so far. And let's see, how should we do that? Alexis, do we have folks raise their hand, or can we just have people jump in? Tony, you've raised your hand. Take it away, Tony.
I'm wondering if you really want us to use that budget format, because we've already created our own.
It's a template. We wanted to create it as an optional budget. It's in a beta form right now. So if you already have your budget, that is perfectly fine to use.
Thanks.
You bet. Any other questions?
Hi, Jacob. I was wondering, did you want the Excel for the budgets and pro forma to also be in PDF form, or just Excel form?
That is a great question. And we will clarify that in an FAQ. It would be desirable to have the budgets in an Excel spreadsheet.
This is Tony. I have another question.
Yes, Tony.
Can you tell us whether there have been any significant changes in the narrative questions since the last round? Yeah, I looked it over and it looks fairly close to what you did in 2020, but if you could point out anything significant that you did change, that would be helpful.
I don't think that there's any substantive changes between the selection criteria in 2020 and our NOFA that we have open now in 2021. The one difference in procedure that I'm thinking of, however, though, is in 2020, we did ask for pre-applications.
Mm-hmm.
And this year, of course, we're not doing that. We've just come forward with our guidelines and with the NOFA itself.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any, let's see, so any questions about the timeline and timing? I think it seems pretty straightforward. And Tony, you have your hand up, but I think you had your hand up before, is that right?
Yeah, I did.
Sure.
And yeah, the timeline, no, I don't have any questions about it. Maybe I should go back and look at it carefully though.
Yeah, and we're, the intention here was to hopefully give everybody a Christmas. So you're welcome. That's part of the design of due by 5 p.m. on Thursday, the 23rd. We do anticipate a very quick turnaround on review of the applications. In part, that is by design and intent to have notices of award out as soon as we can in the new year, to pair as best we can with other funding sources and timelines for other sources. For instance, if anyone is planning to participate in HCD Supernova, or if you have a closing scheduled date for funding, or if you are anticipating planning to apply for CDBG dollars. I believe that the County of Marin will be releasing a NOFA for this coming cycle, this coming year, in end of January, early February for those dollars.
Yeah.
Dino.
Hey, so sorry if I distracted anybody earlier. I was joined, it was full. I thought I was fully on mute, but check phone call there in the middle. So sorry about that. But I do have a question about timing. I am curious because previously I was under the impression that people could apply to the city on a rolling basis. It seems like with this NOFA, we fully eliminate that. But I do want to confirm that point. It might not necessarily be about this NOFA, but I'm curious in the future if an applicant wanted to apply, would you all consider applications on a rolling basis somewhere later in 2022?
Yeah, that's a good question, and thank you. Alexis and I are relatively new to the city of San Rafael, and so we are still learning and coming up to speed on some of the work that has transpired over the last couple of years. And we did see in our documents that there was some work towards a rolling NOFA. At this time, however, we do not have that in effect of an active. However, we did see that that was something that was being worked on in the past, or perhaps it was available in the past. We would certainly be looking at that. We do have to be sensitive, however, to, of course, the amount of funding that we have in our trust fund. But I do think that there is a possibility that we could come forward with a rolling NOFA, or if you would, an open-ended NOFA, say a NOFA until funds are expended.
Great, thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. And actually, I'd like to hear from the group if that would be helpful to have. I'm assuming, since you asked the question, Dino, that would probably be, you would see that as a benefit to have available funds.
Absolutely, I do see it as a benefit, and in part, as you can tell with this process, in applications like this, site control is such a large determinant. And so in the effectually, if one is not in site control at this point or at December 23rd going forward, it's not, without a rolling NOFA, it's not possible to participate in city funding with a project.
I'm really glad that you raised that point, Dino, because the group should know, and we will include this in one of our FAQs. Site control, we will have some flexibility on that, realizing that, if you're using these funds for acquisition, certainly you will not have site control. What you do need to provide, however, is you need to be able to, if you cannot demonstrate, then you would have to demonstrate that you have the capacity or the ability, that you have the ability to gain site control.
Great, I saw that in the NOFA, and thank you for making that comment. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions on the application, disclosures, project description?
Yeah, this is Tony. The disclosures, you mentioned a little while ago that every partner in the project should provide one.
Yeah.
And how do you define who those partners are?
If you are, for instance, if your entity is the developer and you are working with a co-developer that will eventually, they would be the owner. If you have a different, if you have an operator, if you have a service provider, those would be 4 different entities. Now, you not knowing your, the makeup of your team, that could be 1 agency organization, or it could be 4. So in the case where you had a project, you're coming in with, your agency, for instance, is the developer operator, and then you're going to be partnering with a service provider, and you're providing, 20% of the units as PSH, then you would have, you could have 2 organizations in the partnership. So we would want to have disclosure forms for each.
Great. Yeah, what we have is, we Homeward Bound is the owner of the site, will be the operator of the site, is developing the site, but has, obviously we have contracts with architects and some other professionals like that.
Yeah.
But we will be, providing services jointly with Marin Health and Human Services Behavioral Health Unit, which will be on site providing services for some of the clients. And a couple of other nonprofits will also be on site providing services. So
initially, I don't think that would be necessary in that particular case, certainly not with Health and Human Services. I think in your particular case, that example, I'm not sure that we would need disclosures for the others, certainly not for the architects or other contractors that you have building the project.
Great, thanks.
You're welcome.
So it sounds like we'll just come in with one disclosure form from Homeward Bound because it has so many of the roles.
I think so. Yeah, I think that you would just need one. I think really it comes in where two would come into play is if you have a joint development. So you are coming in with a different agency and the two of you are going to be developing the project together. And Dino, you and Tony still have your hands raised. I'm assuming those
Sorry, I just keep forgetting to put it.
Not a problem. Okay, so why don't we, Alexis, go ahead and do we have a slide that has our email address, the housing at cityofsanrafael.org, and can we put that up? And do we have a phone number as well for folks? Why don't we, realizing that people may still have other questions following this webinar, please feel free to reach out to us. We do have a housing information line now, that's what you see on the page here, the 415-485-3383. Please feel free to give us a call or drop us an email at housing@cityofsanrafael.org. Certainly, if you have our email addresses, you can reach out to us independently as well for this NOFA. We will get back to you as soon as we can, but do allow for 24-hour returns. And then again, if you are working down to the on the 23rd and you're getting into the afternoon, definitely give us a heads up that you're planning to submit, and we can. If you do, we will accept everything that we receive before 5 p.m. that day.
Yeah, great. Thank you so much. Just wanted to say thank you guys from all of us in the community for organizing this. And I know it's a ton of work for people, but obviously super important to get more affordable housing. So super big thanks for you.
You're very welcome. All right. Well, we look forward to receiving your responses. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. And again, please reach out to us if you have any other questions.
Okay, thank you. And appreciate all the information and look forward to sending you our application and, talking in the meanwhile if we need to.
Great. Sounds good.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Have a great afternoon, everyone.
Thanks,
Thank you.
everyone. Take good care.
Bye.
Bye. I'm going to stop recording.